Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Khalil Sharif. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of AKF USA and AKF Canada. It is a great delight to welcome you all this evening for this special conversation on clean energy and the world's most vulnerable. It is so exciting to see so many people logging in from all over the world. I can already see the participant list growing by the second here. We've got people from all over the world, from Kuala Lumpur to Dallas and everything in between. I can see here people who are scholars in the area, people who are at the cutting edge of practice in renewables, students, people who are just interested in the issue. It's so exciting. Well, welcome everyone. As you're coming in, please do put in your name in the chat and tell us where you're from and what you do and what brings you to this conversation. It'll help us keep tabs on everyone. It's a real delight to have everyone here today. We are in the midst of the first ever virtual campaign that Aga Khan Foundation has run in North America. The circumstances this year don't allow us to get together in person, so we have pivoted. And tonight, we are inviting you all to join us in our virtual voyage around the world. And the link to the website will be in the chat. It's virtualvoyage.akfusa.org. I hope you'll all click on the link, go to that website, register for participation in our virtual journey to go see some of the places and the communities that we're working with to really improve quality of life for some of the most marginalized in the world. And we're hoping that as a result of today's conversation, you might get inspired and excited about participating even further in our work, maybe making a contribution, enlisting your friends and family, even fundraising for us. That would be a great honor and a great privilege. Tonight, we're going to go to two specific places virtually, to Tanzania and to Tajikistan, to explore whether a clean energy future for the world's poor is actually possible. And without giving it away, I can tell you the answer is yes. What we're going to be learning about today is what the Aga Khan Development Network is doing to make a clean energy future actually possible, even in some very remote and poor environments. We're going to be talking to Revealed Kataru, who's the country director for AKF Tanzania, and Daler Juma, who for years has been running our flagship hydropower project of the Aga Khan Fund for Economic Development called Pamir Energy, which is in Tajikistan on the Tajik-Afghan border. It's great that he's been able to join us. He's just been appointed the Minister of Energy and Water Resources for Tajikistan, and he's agreed to join us for this conversation in any case to share some of his experiences in bringing clean energy to a difficult part of the world. Together, Revealed and Dallaire represent an extraordinary set of experiences and wisdom on this issue. And hosting them tonight is the award-winning Alia Jasmine Sovani, who is an LA-based environmental reporter and TV host. We're so delighted that Alia Jasmine has agreed to join us. Now, connecting LA and Tanzania and Tajikistan has not been easy. The time zones didn't quite allow us to do that part of this live tonight, but we will have our chat window going all through the conversation. So please keep that open as Alia Jasmine talks to Dallaire and Revealed, who she was able to catch up with earlier this week. We'll be able to react a little bit in real time. As soon as the conversation with Alia Jasmine is finished, we're going to orchestrate some breakout groups, and you'll be able to see on your screen 4 different topics for breakout groups. Why don't you think about which ones that you're most excited about? Change your Zoom name so you can put the letter of the breakout room that you're most interested in right in your Zoom name. That will help us start orchestrating those breakout rooms during the video. And at the very end of the night, we'll come back together and debrief a little bit on everything we've learned. So that's what we're talking about today. Climate change, energy poverty, the COVID crisis, all of it in front of us today. There couldn't be a more important time to be having this particular conversation. And we're really excited that you're joining us tonight to explore how it is that we're responding to climate change and including the world's poor in a clean energy future. Join me now in turning over to Alia Jasmine Sovani to take us through the conversation. Alia Jasmine, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aga Khan Foundation Clean Energy Session, bringing equity to vulnerable communities. My name is Aaliyah Jasmine. I'm an environmental journalist and television host living in Los Angeles. You may have seen me on NBC News or the Discovery Channel or MTV, where I've done many documentaries around environmental issues. I'm very excited to be here tonight and welcome all of you, everyone who is here, including our professional network, young professionals, and of course, a lot of the AKF ambassadors. So among the many things that we're going to talk about today, we will be discussing is the opportunities for inclusion of women and marginalized groups in the clean energy sector. I'm particularly excited to talk and examine about how women can enter the value chains of a range of clean energy technologies and how access to clean energy and inclusion in the sector can create a continuum of opportunities and of empowerment. And on that note, I am going to introduce our panelists today, who we are very lucky to have with us. First, I will introduce Revealed, the country director for Aga Khan Foundation Tanzania. She has a broad contextual knowledge of East Africa and great perspective on women's economic inclusion in East Africa. Revealed Kataru is the country director for Aga Khan Foundation in Tanzania, providing strategic leadership to achieve the foundation's aim of improved quality of life and human dignity. She has 2 decades of experience in development and private sector work across East Africa, with a special focus on women, girls, and youth. Welcome, Revealed.
Thank you very much.
And next, it's also my honor to introduce His Excellency Minister Daler Juma, who is recently appointed the Minister of Energy and Water Resources for Tajikistan, an accomplishment resulting from the tireless dedication and outstanding accomplishments as a CEO of IPS Asia's energy portfolio and as the General Director of Premier Energy for the last 13 years, where notably, through its numerous cross-border energy products, the company is providing light and warmth to over 50,000 people living in rural and remote areas of northern Afghanistan, some of which are accessing electricity for the first time in history. Incredible knowledge, and thank you so much for being here, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Likewise, true pleasure being with you today.
And I do have to note one very funny story for everybody who's entering today. As we were doing our technical rehearsals with Revealed and His Excellency, we were talking about the lighting, and some of the young guys who are on our tech team were saying to Daler, you need to make sure you have the right lighting. Will the lighting be okay? And I am paraphrasing, but Daler's response was, I run the energy and lighting for this whole country. I think I can figure out the lighting for this. So we're very happy to have you and your sense of humor here with us today. So we are proud to have these cutting edge experts, obviously, as we listen to them, as we get a great insight from their personalities. Remember that the life changing projects that they're part of is possible thanks to the fundraising efforts here in the United States and also in Canada. So as you hear about Revealed and Damar's projects and the progress that they've achieved, I hope you also feel very proud at home as you're watching this to be part of this movement. I also really hope that you will be inspired to continue to fundraise and donate to be part of these solutions and future solutions to the obstacles that still remain out there. So with that being said, Revealed, can you introduce yourself and how you kind of came to be in this position? I know you love your work. I'd love to hear more about that work and how you got here.
Thank you very much, Alia. After my first degree, I volunteered in our community school for 2.5 years. And this was a school that was taking orphan children, and particularly girls. And I found it motivating to just give them the opportunity to make choices and change their career. After doing that, then I found myself in development, and I started at the field level, actually, and I worked for a couple of years. And I was interfacing with people in marginalized geographies, people who couldn't be looked at or considered by the banks or formal financial institutions because they were unbankable. And we tried to help them to find financial services by establishing their own savings and credit facilities, and also starting income-generating activities in agriculture. I did that for some time, and then I moved to middle level and then senior management. I think I found it quite motivating to see people moving from one level to the other and being able to make changes in their lives and invest the benefits to their family. What motivates me on the kind of work that I do is to be able to change the future of women, girls, boys, and men so that they and their children have a chance to make choices in the future in terms of what health facilities to go to, what schools to go to, what food to eat, and whether to socialize and where to socialize. So I find that quite motivating. I would like to talk a bit about the context in East Africa and where we do our work. In Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda, the natural resources are quite abundant and not tapped to the full potential. And so when we're talking about clean energy, thinking of opportunities in hydro, solar, wind, and biomass energy, I think is an untapped opportunity. Again, the East African countries are signed up to global strategies and national frameworks on renewable energy and climate smart agriculture. So I see that this topic and the discussion we're having today is very relevant for this region and also related to the kind of work that Aga Khan Foundation does in East Africa.
That's unbelievable insight. So talk to me about the efforts with the clean energy sector. Why, knowing what you just told us, knowing what we now know, why focus that energy? Why focus your efforts on the clean energy sector?
Thank you. I think it's very critical and important to focus on clean energy. One, because the population, if you look at the population, particularly of Tanzania, by 2020 at 59 million, with an annual growth rate of 2.9%. Just imagine in the next 5 years what the population will be like. And it's hugely dependent on natural resources. Secondly, this population is very young. The age between 0 to 14 form about 42% of the total population. And the age between 15 to 24 forms 20% of the total population. So just between 0 to 24 is about roughly 62% of the total population. Very young, energetic, unemployed, particularly youth. Access to capital and resources, ownership of property is very limited. What are they going to do? Resort to natural resources. So if we do not talk about it, if we do not focus on clean energy, if we do not deliberately tackle it, then maybe there may be no resources, natural resources in the future. That's one. I think that clean energy brings huge opportunities for small and medium enterprise growth and employment opportunity, particularly for women and for youth. So I think it is critical. Again, I look at clean energy from the point of health benefits, particularly for the women who are engaged in household activities, preparing food every day, facing the smoke and the heat, using charcoal and fuel. And I think we know that sometimes they have adverse effects over time. So being able to discuss and work on this, I think, will also help to protect their life. And finally, I think that there are some cost efficiencies. Definitely, upfront and the beginning, not. But over time, I think you'll be able to see the cost efficiencies. And again, especially when there's a saturation of products in the market.
It's so interesting as you're talking about how how clean energy will impact individual women in their households, in their communities. I can see His Excellency Minister Dallaire also nodding his head. I feel like this is it's a really interesting topic to talk about how women as stakeholders really deserves an entire part of this conversation. And I'm curious, revealed in your work, what are some of the notable changes that you've noticed when it comes to how this has transform the lives of women in Tanzania?
I also have seen that engagement of women in clean energy has given them the opportunity to learn and increase their income. You see some of them and see how they feel very empowered, first of all, by getting the knowledge, being able to apply the knowledge, and knowing that they can do something, and they're just like anybody else, or just like the men, and the girls are just like the boys, that they can do. And this gives them opportunity to rise up to more challenges. And so it touches on the aspects of empowerment for women and girls as well.
So on that note, Revealed, I think that's a great transition over to the work happening right now in East Asia and in Tajikistan. So Your Excellency, Minister Daler Juma, I'd love to hear a little bit about your work, but let me first start a little lighter. And I know you're passionate about what you do. Tell me what you love about your work.
I think it is very much what Reveal is saying is really through the clean and renewable energy make the life of the people transformative. And I have been very fortunate and blessed to have opportunities to serve in 3 countries of Central Asia: Tajikistan and Afghanistan and Pakistan, and especially in the most remote areas where sometimes access to the energy as such is not only a matter of necessities, but when it comes to winter, it's really a matter of surviving. So we have been operating in areas where the temperature goes as low as minus 40 degrees of Celsius. I'm not sure what is in Fahrenheit, but it's extremely cold. So in winter, it's really something that you need to to make sure that you do provide reliable electricity. So it's suddenly clean, and I think in the areas where we're walking in the mountain areas, we are gifted with the hydro, where we do provide most of our electricity through the hydro, but it has to be also reliable, especially in winter. And then also it has to be affordable, because you are working with the most marginal communities, the most remote areas. And I think what really drives me always is anytime we electrify a community, and by definition, because we are doing the rural electrification in these 3 countries, as a industrial promotion service of the Aga Khan Fund for Economic Development, it's actually it's really become transformative, and I can't think of any aspects of the life that it can make them different. For example, I recently was in Afghanistan, and I visited a village which we electrified a couple years ago, and for me it was literally transformative. You see more, there's more activities. You could see economic activities. You could see there's more infrastructure. You could see schools. You see kids actually going to the computer classes, and all these things have not been there. So it's really transformative, and so that's what makes me passionate. Is really in a quite a short period of time, you see how the life of a particular community can be transformative. But there are, of course, many other drivers that make me up in the morning.
It's so interesting too, because of all the different seasons that you experience, the hot summers and then the cold winters as well. I'm curious if while listening to the minister Revealed, if there were any commonalities that you heard with what's happening in Central Asia I'll actually, ask you the same question, Your Excellency, when you talk about, AKDN's IPS priorities for the clean energy sector in Central Asia. Did you find any similarities or differences with what Revealed spoke of? I'd love to hear you both comment on each other's work.
Thank you, Aliyah. Yes, I do. I mean, when the minister is talking about deforestation to that large extent, I mean, it resonates with what's happening now in East Africa and in Tanzania, particularly. Um, you'd think because there are not so many factories and stuff like that, the contribution to the green energy, green gas emissions is quite low. But the change of land use and deforestation, the extent at which it's happening, I think is worrying. And for me, if that is not strategically looked at and deliberately controlled and alternative sources given to people, then we'll have a bigger problem and a global problem. It contributes to the global a problem. Again, he does mention that clean energy is a benefit and a solution to women. And I completely agree. I mean, if you and we are thinking about women empowerment, if we are thinking about enabling women who are really responsible a lot for household resources, they may not have the decision making and control power. But through clean energy, I think we can begin to devolve and support them and give them some of that power. And again, this is something that contributes to the country's GDP. And in most of the countries, the women population outstrips that of men. So you're talking about a labor force that is not being given the skills and the resources to improve the economy, and yet they are at the back end doing a lot of the work, having to make the decisions and choices, not having the information. I think it's critical. If they are provided the information, they're empowered, they're given awareness, I think their choices and decisions and their negotiation power will be able to turn around other people, onboard other people, and change some of the norms as well.
Yeah, that's an amazing point, Revealed. I think that's a really important point to hit. And so, Your Excellency, I mean, I'll turn it over to you, but like, what role do women play in your plans for clean energy sectors in the countries that you work in? And, based on your experience in Central Asia, are there unique perspectives and attributes that women bring to the clean energy sector in that part of the world?
The short answer, women are our champions. It's because when we are providing the electricity to the rural areas, the first and the immediate beneficiaries are women. Why? There's several examples. One is, I mentioned earlier that it takes them 4 or 5 hours to go and to collect the wood. Now they do have those 4 or 5 hours saving, and they're going actually normally in the afternoon for the tea parties with their friends. Number one. Number two, it keeps their housekeeping for them very, very simple. Number three, actually they could see that in this part of the world, kids are still very great supporters to parents when it comes to the livestock. So that all the day they're helping the parents, and it's only in the evening that they could do their homeworks. And there's no any more excuses. There's no candles, there's no kerosene, and you name it. And then the fourth one is because women are, just imagining that the main source of the energy is the wood. So the women do, use normally, whether it's a bakery or cooking, lots of smoke. So it also helps their health. So because of those one, they do become our champions in terms of the willingness to pay. So we are working in the areas where, in our business, there's two things when it comes to the, let's say, to the tariffs for electricity. It's affordability to pay and willingness to pay. So it's the willingness of women has been increased, that the areas that we have been working, we have normally issue with the collection because people do see the benefits of that one. What we also see is that, I mentioned to you the 4 or 5 hours savings. Other than to go for the tea party, they're starting going to the computer classes. Actually, there's cases when they established an enterprise, and that enterprise also have been help with the revealed colleagues from AKF in Tajikistan and in Afghanistan. They're actually starting to doing the enterprises. Girls become more competitive in the studies. We as we have as a IPS, we do have some of our subsidiaries. This are Pamir Energy in Tajikistan, Badakhshan Energy in Afghanistan. And I mentioned to you about the villages that we electrified a couple of years ago. Actually, as I'm talking to you, we have provided 12 full scholarships for the higher education for the girls and boys in Afghanistan who are gonna go to the finest university in Tajikistan to study undergraduate degree at the electric engineering. They're going to the same universities that I did. When we started, it was 100% boys. This time, 6 out of 12 are girls. You could also see that, at least, it's my interpretation of the situations that, those things, especially in the rural electrification, and I do repeat myself, there's many other reasons why we see the women empowerment, why we see our daughters and sisters are more competitive. But I do believe in this particular case is because that we are bringing the clean and affordable and reliable electricity to this part of the world. And it would take the partnership. It needs to bring major stakeholders together to make it happen.
And I think, I have one last, I want to get into the rapid fire section of this. I'm excited to hear you both answer in the rapid fire questions. But before we do, my last question really is about new technology. And I guess, coming from North America, my question to both of you in two, different parts of the world would be, as you are approaching clean energy and as you're working on these clean energy projects, are you at this point really just, trying to stay afloat, or maybe a better metaphor is just trying to keep the lights on, or are you really able to use new technologies and innovation to play a part of the clean energy work being done right now in East Africa and in Central Asia?
For Aga Khan Foundation, the way we do our work is we try and catalyze the systems, whether it's the education system, it's the market systems. And so ours is to look at what is in the market, what does the market want, and who are the actors and players in the market. Is it functioning very well? And where it is not functioning, what can we do as a foundation to make it function? So as we speak now, we notice that the challenges are really in access to finance and capital, and identifying institutions that are able to provide that to business people to be able to reach out to these markets, both urban and rural, and service those markets with renewable energy products is one of the things we look at. The other issues are environmental, business environment and policies, and we look at those. Are there policies and is the business environment inhibiting for private sector engagement, and how can we dialogue and engage with the relevant stakeholders and with the government to make an enabling environment for this to happen. And one of the other things we've noticed is that the clients or the smallholder farmers, the people who live in the rural communities and the big businesses do not understand each other. And so many times you find products in the market that are really not meeting the demands or the needs of these people. So being able to identify that and brokering that relationship to ensure that the suppliers understand what the market is looking for and are able to deliver that to the market. And if there are any hiccups and challenges for them to be able to deliver that those issues are addressed. Sometimes by us, most times not by us, but we find the actors and players because we want to see the market systems working. The AKF can step away and the systems will continue to work. And it makes business sense for the private sector because it's about making profits. If they don't, then they'll go bust. And that's not what we want. So that's kind of the role that Aga Khan Foundation plays. And we are really engaging with the service providers, and we see that there are interesting products. All we need to do, I guess, is to engage and find the right players who can collaborate with them and be able to get this started, rolling, piloted, and then expanding.
So you would say yes to new technologies and innovation within the clean energy world, but they need to be solutions-based.
Definitely. And particularly that we have a big youth population who are very eager and interested to try new things, definitely.
Right. Well, thank you so much for those answers. For our discussion so far has been so informative and really, really, I mean, honestly, very interesting. It's great to talk to two experts in different parts of the world about the same topic and hear the differences, but also so many similarities in how we're approaching clean energy around the world. So let's move on to our rapid fire questions. These questions have been formulated to get yes or no answers out of you. But if you do feel like you need to expand a little bit, feel free. So here's the first one. If you had to choose, would you use incandescent, LED, or compact fluorescent bulbs?
LED.
Okay. Does sustainable energy save money?
It does.
It absolutely does. The village that we electrify, the cost goes 6 times less. This is from our experience.
Okay. What are you currently reading, or what's the last book that you read?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Classic.
The world is flat.
Interesting.
But it was, I guess I haven't read for a while.
Okay, our next rapid fire question is, does electricity increase GDP?
Definitely.
Yes, it does. The areas that we have been working, the local GDP, from our experience, was increasing in 2 digits the first 10 years that we electrified the area.
In your experience, this is an interesting rapid fire question. So in your experience, should people say yes more or no more?
Are you going to judge me?
No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone.
No more.
I'm with you. What do you think, Minister?
Thank you.
No, it depends, but I would say that people should stay more positive.
So you think yes more?
Stay more positive.
Okay, I'll take it. I like your very diplomatic answer. Okay. We talked about this a little bit, but just to stay with the rapid fire question, does electricity improve gender equality? Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
How much is an average electricity bill in Tanzania or Tajikistan?
In Tanzania, I think it's 283 roughly kilowatts per year on average.
The lifeline consumption is at 360 kilowatt hours a month. So it's in the range of 4,000 kilowatt hours a year.
Both Revealed and Minister Dallaire, it was so great to talk to both of you. Really was a highlight for me to hear about what's happening in both of your parts of the world and with clean energy. So I thank you for sharing your stories with us and helping us understand that there is great hope for the future and for different places around the world. I think sometimes, especially lately, we've been looking for that hope, and it's nice to hear that it exists and that you're both working to make sure that happens. And that there is also still a need to continue this work, to expand it, to grow it, to push forward. And so I'm sure that we have left all of you, the group out there who is watching this, with a lot to talk about. And it is time for our breakout session. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Khalil.
Alia, Jasmine, what a great conversation. Thank you so much for generating such rich insights from Revealed and Dallaire. And of course, thank you to Revealed and Dallaire for making themselves available for this conversation and sharing all their insights with us. So much to learn, not only about clean energy, but about some principles of work of the AKDN. In a sense, what we've seen tonight and heard tonight exemplifies some really important principles. One, we've heard about a spectrum of efforts, right from kind of grassroots engagement in some very, very poor villages, all the way to system level mega projects like a hydropower dam on the Tajik-Afghan border. We've heard about different contexts, Africa and Asia, and how we're able to both draw lessons across those continents, but still be very, very rooted in the specific context of each of those areas. And, you know, most inspiring probably is that here we have leaders from their countries that the AKDN has had the great privilege of working with, learning from, and supporting. And so in Dallaire and in Revealed, we have extraordinary local leaders who are really having a transformative impact in their settings. And that's such a great example of the AKDN empowering local leaders and national leaders to really have an impact on an important issue like clean energy. Look, there's lots to talk about, and this list of people who are with us today is so interesting. We want to make sure you get a chance to meet everyone. What we're going to do now is put you into 4 breakout rooms. You'll have some time to meet each other and have a bit of a discussion. Again, the 4 topics are on the screen now, and you can choose which one of them you'd be most excited by. And what we'll do is we'll give you about 10 or 15 minutes to have those conversations in the breakout rooms, and then we'll bring you back and debrief and conclude the evening. So please enjoy these breakout rooms with the great insights and wisdom of Revealed and Dallaire in the back of your minds as you discuss with your colleagues and some new friends everything we've learned tonight. And we're back. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a rich conversation and got to meet some of the diverse group of folks who have joined us. Let me bring us now to a close. First of all, let me just thank you for participating so energetically in those discussions. I was able to hop in and out of a few and heard such a wide range of thoughts, people talking about what's happening here at home and some of the political and technical challenges here at home, but also a lot of the opportunities. A great conversation about the role of women and how the reliance on wood and forestry has such extraordinary climate consequences, hazard consequences. So the shift to renewables can be so powerful there. A really interesting conversation about youth and credit and capital, and how sometimes the lack of credit and capital forces innovation in all kinds of genuinely interesting ways. So a lot of wisdom in this crowd, which is really, really exciting. So I want to just thank you all for expressing your interest in this important area. Let me just reiterate how much of a central priority now responding to and supporting our communities as they respond to climate change around the world is. And as I say, COVID as a crisis is really laying bare so many important areas of marginalization that we need to overcome. And it's our commitment at AKF to really focus on the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, and do everything we can to support them as they try to improve their quality of life. I want to thank all the people who have worked so hard with AKF over many, many, many years, who have invested their funds with us, who have given of their time and their knowledge, who have strengthened the institution. All of those contributions, all of those investments have been exactly what we have and the communities in Africa and Asia who we serve have used to confront the COVID crisis and to try to build back in a more positive and forward-looking way. But as you can imagine, the work is never done. So I hope all of you will take a moment, informed and I hope inspired by the conversation we've had today, to join this year's virtual journey. And Catherine will put the link back into the chat. This is an opportunity for all of you to register for the virtual journey. We still have a couple of stops left. At least you can join us on our last few stops. We only have 3 weeks left in this campaign. So if you register, at least you can learn more and explore some more of the work and some more of the geographies where we are working. Share with us with your friends and family. Invite them into the process. Maybe you'll be ready to fundraise on our behalf, and maybe you'll even be ready to make a contribution yourself. We need all the help we can get this year because of the extent of the crisis. Those of you who are joining us from the US, you're about to have Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you all. Even at this moment of difficulty and of this moment of real crisis, there are always things to be thankful for. And one of the things I'm thankful for is this extraordinary community of people who are coming together to support people who are in another part of the world, but confronting the crisis just the same. So to you, to your families, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you stay safe and well, and I look forward to seeing you on the virtual Voyage journey before it ends. And our last stop is a homecoming ceremony that's just about 3 weeks away. So I hope you'll register and we'll see you then. Until then, thanks very much for joining and good night.